All right. Still trying to figure it all out. Let's see if we are here. Christy subscribed. Thank you so much. Did you come over from Food Forest? Let's see. Hey Christy, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. I'm still trying to figure out this process, making sure that I'm doing everything okay. My light is making me look jaundiced. Okay, so there, I don't look yellow. Do I look yellow? All right. That. All right. We are live. Okay. It is Sunday night. Oh my gosh. So listen, if you guys jump in here and you're in that chat, please go over and hit the thumbs up button so that I know you're here. And hey, growing on Vancouver Island, Peace Journey, Make It by Mandy. You guys are amazing. I can't tell you how super grateful I am that you all jump over here because I'm so new at these Sunday Night Lives. I think it's my 4th or 5th one. Still trying to build my channel, and it makes me feel so good to be loved and supported by all of you. So love you all. The Scottish Wild Woman, the Earthlings have arrived. Yes. Oh my gosh, my people. You guys are my people. Who else is in here? Scottish Wildman. Did I go? I can't remember if I went and if I subscribed. I'll be sure to do that. Sifting some soil and more. Ooh, I like the sound of that channel. Always trying to amend my soil, make sure I have good soil health. So is that what your channel is about? Does that help me improve my soil for growth? Awesome. You guys are amazing. D Miller, hey, how are you doing? And then Early Bird Special with Brad. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you again so soon. And then Food Forest Permaculture. Hey, Howie. Cheers, fellow Earthlings. It's a raid. I love it. I love it. And Big Steve live. Okay, you want to raid the fridge? Listen, I have so much good food in my fridge, but it's actual food. Like it's like food. Okay, so this is what this channel is about. And I know that I love growing food, so loving to connect with you guys because when we talk about food, it's like, let's connect with our soil. Let's connect with the sources of our food and be able to eat as fresh and as close to the earth as God intended. So if you're ever in Southeast Michigan, if you ever find yourself here, please, I would love to host you and cook you a beautiful meal. That's what I do. I love cooking. I love just cooking really good. I'm a foodie, right? So people will always say that, they'll always say, eating healthy is boring. I don't know who said, I know a lot of people say that, but I don't know the healthy people I know. Oh my gosh. Like it's decadent. Like, yeah, I got a pot full of collard greens with, an organic. I have an organic ham, Mangalitsa pig. So I sauteed that with garlic and onions. And hey, I had to use some pork fat. Like that's how I cook that stuff, So I don't use oils. It's the topic of tonight is sugar and oils. Hold on, my neighbor is texting. Yes, but I'm on live on YouTube. Okay. Let's see. Do I have peanut butter cookies? Okay. So funny story. I was at the store yesterday, and as much as I don't eat Girl Scout cookies, but I love the tag-alongs. Those were always my favorite. So because I don't eat that kind of stuff, I had walked over. I was just going to give the girls $20 because, not that I agree with the food, but what I love about Girl Scout cookies is that they're teaching young girls how to talk to people, how to have good customer service skills, how to count money, how to make a sale, like how do you sell your product, how to set goals. So I love that whole purpose. So I walked over and I was just going to give them $20 and just say, hey, here's a donation. I don't need any cookies. And the owner of the store was here and it was standing there and he was buying cookies. And he's like, what do you want? And I go, I'm just going to give a donation. He's like, no, pick something. So I do have a box of tag-alongs sitting in my laundry room right now. So kind of a peanut butter cookie, Chaz Devlin. And I don't know, I might just look at them. I might just admire them and try to remember how much I enjoyed them. Cause I don't know, will they taste as good as I remember them tasting? Have you guys gotten Girl Scout cookies? Cause I'll tell you what, the oil, oh, let me go get the box. Let's read the label. Hang tight. Hang tight. Okay, there's my golden retriever right there. Okay, let's see. Who else is on here? Yes, the raid. Great to meet you. Early bird special with Brad as well. Thank you so much for being here. And let's see. Thank you, Howie. I'm so kind, he says. You are so kind, honestly, to bring your tribe over here. I don't know if you jumped on in time, but I just said, I'm so new to being live on YouTube. Not new to being live. I do go live on Facebook and Instagram, but this is a little different process, and I'm building my channel. And so I appreciate all the love. I mean, honestly, I've been telling everybody, I'm like, you guys came over and just gave me all this love on my first live. It was amazing. So that was awesome. Let's see. So Make It by Mandy says, I use sugar and oil. Tell me how bad. Oh, okay. So right. So the topic, sugars and oils. So growing on Vancouver Island, I am not a naturopath. I'm more of a nutritionist. I practice functional medicine. So the dog's drinking. So my story, and listen, you guys, I did a TED Talk. I want you all to go over to TEDx Detroit 2022 and just put my name in, and my video will come up. It's an 8-minute talk that I did back in October. And I talked about the way my mom raised me. My brother was hyperactive. I was like 8 years old, and the doctor wanted to put him on medication. And my mom was like, no way. And so she figured out that all she had to do was change how we ate. And she would take us to the grocery store, and I'm 8 years old, and she was making us read labels and forcing us to know and understand what was food and what wasn't. So it's really this has been my journey since I was a little girl. My mother just ingrained it in me. So go to TEDx Detroit 2022. I haven't figured out how to extract it and embed it on my page, but if you just put that in with my name, that will come up. It's an 8-minute talk. I would love for you to go over and give that video some love. But that's so that started my journey. And then I studied nutrition. I've been through multiple functional medicine certifications. So I do a lot of digestive healing, a lot of gut health, a lot of preconception care. So young women wanting to get pregnant with our health crisis today. We've got, 70% of the United States is overweight, and it used to be only 20, then 30%. And now I think it's 40 to 50% are actually clinically obese, morbidly obese. So we have a massive crisis. And with that 70%, they're all nutritionally deficient. And it actually takes 7 to 9 months to build the body back up to nutritional sufficiency. So when you got somebody who wants to be pregnant and they want to grow life, we have to get these young women educated so that they start taking the proper nutrients. They start taking care of themselves. They start eating whole foods, not processed foods, sugars and oils. And I'll talk about oils in a minute. I want to read this label here. Let me see what other questions you guys have. Yes. So Big Steve Live, new sub here. Thank you. Let's see, where are we at? We'll get there, Mandy. Let's see. So not naturopath, but functional medicine, certified functional medicine. And I'm a chiropractor, and then have certifications in functional medicine and nutrition as well. So people will come to me for weight loss, and I will, I've been through everywhere. I can't lose weight. And what my job is to do is get their bodies healthy, help them change their body composition. And when you start getting the body regulated so that it functions the way it needs to, the body will then release the weight. So weight stays on as a function of toxicity and poor quality diet, poor lifestyle habits. So yes, Iron Fire Horse. You're gonna love my TED Talk. It's so fun. It was a dream come true to stand on that TED stage. If you see the thumbnail for this live, I'm using a lot of those pictures as my thumbnails, and it was just, oh my God, I stood on that stage and I literally, there was so many lights, I couldn't even see the audience. And I literally just was like, this was what I was born to do, is to speak to the masses, to be able to educate and inspire. And my dad was an Orthodox priest. So, I watched him stand on stages and inspire people and just deliver a message from his heart. And so he really like gave me that gift. So I feel like I'm passing that gift on. So growing on Vancouver Island, right? Goldens. I'm on my 4th Golden. So let's see, what other questions? Let's see, Make It by Mandy. You should check with them if I can repost the TED. Oh yeah. I have to look and see, because there's a way to pull it from that page and put it onto my page. So I have to ask them and see. I'll call the producer this week. They also, I'll tell you guys, they flagged it for medical misinformation. They almost didn't publish it. So, and I was talking to the producer and I said, I have citations for everything I mentioned in there. And he said, oh, I think because they don't tell you specifically. He said, I think they don't like the fact that you said your mother didn't want to put your brother on medication, that she decided to heal you guys with food instead. And I'm like, such bullshit. But I sent them all the citations. They ended up publishing it. So in the info, you'll see that they actually label it medical misinformation. I'm like, oh my God, can I say, for fuck's sake? I just can't. But it's up. It's published. My pinnacle moment of my career is actually on the TEDx, the actual international TEDx page. So Yahoo, they can label it what they want. People are going to watch it and know what the truth is. When I said in that video, I said, and the doctor wanted to put my brother on medication, and I looked at the audience and I said, does that sound familiar to everybody? And there were amens coming from the audience. I mean, people feel that, the drugs, we start throwing drugs at everything instead of a solution about a lifestyle. And people resonated with that. So anyway, be curious. If you go and you watch it, please leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. Let's see. Yeah, kudos to my mom, Scottish Wild Man. She was amazing. She literally was like, if I was reading something, it had nitrates and nitrites and monosodium glutamate and BHA and BHA. She taught us all that. And I don't know where she got this. This was the 70s. Where did she find that? We didn't have Google. We didn't have anything like that. So Iron Fire Horse, I believe I just got rid of anxiety, many other bad things just with diet. Yeah. Food is medicine or it'll kill you. I was told my daughter had autism. You reversed it. I love it. Peace Journey. Oh my gosh. I would love to hear more about that story. Do you have a story about that on your page? That would be amazing to see, to watch that journey, to see that, and see how you helped your daughter. How old is your daughter? And that's such a common story too. So many people I know have healed their kids through proper nutrition and supplementation, and heavy metal clearing. And there's other things. So I don't know how far I can get into it without getting my page shut down. So I'm sure you know where I'm going with that. She only has some hesitation, anxiety. She's 17. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Growing on Vancouver Island, I have a chronic fungal skin condition. I take an oral antifungal medication every few days, but it only helps for a month or so. Yeah. So that's gut. Gut imbalance. So you need proper flora in your gut. So it kills. So you probably had some mold exposure. So you're killing the molds. But what happens, and this is really common, is that oftentimes people will take, an antifungal or antibiotic, whatever it is, to kill the thing that's going on, whether it's a bacteria, a virus, a fungus, or some other nasty thing. And so it kills that. That's only part of the problem. Then you have to know how to then recolonate the gut with the proper bacteria that's actually going to be synergistic to prevent this thing from regrowing, because it can take root and just keep regrowing. Oftentimes people will say, I did the gluten-free thing. I gave up dairy. I gave up gluten. I did it for, 2 weeks or a month or whatever, and it didn't work, because it's a minor part of it. When the gut's been so compromised for so long, so someone like me or another functional medicine doctor that you could work with will help you understand the elimination is just one piece of it, but now we have to come in and we have to start to colonate properly, and probably give some good hydrochloric acid so you can start breaking your food down properly and then start laying in. I have multiple, over probably 14 different varieties of multiple probiotics and prebiotics that I could give somebody based on what they have going on. So it's not, I would say this too, you're not deficient in antiviral or antifungal medication. So if you still have that going on, I work via Zoom nutrition-wise with my clients. You are welcome to call me, or if you find somebody who does functional medicine in your area, you can let me know. Define diets growing on Vancouver Island, because there's so much, if you're talking about just healthy eating and eliminating processed foods and sugars and poor quality oils, which we'll get into in a minute, that is what we're talking about, like dietary changes, lifestyle changes. But if you're just talking about like a diet, like should you do keto? Should you do South Beach? Should you do, should you do one meal a day? Like there's so many different types of diets. So I just am not sure in that respect. Dietarily though, if you just don't chase the next big phase, the next, latest and greatest thing, and if you just start to minimize your sugars and get rid of the seed oils. So that's part of what we're talking about today is seed oil. So things like soybean, vegetable oil. I don't think anybody uses Crisco anymore, but if you have a tub of like Earth Balance in your refrigerator, you should go throw that away, because that stuff is killing you. So there's things like that from the oil perspective. And go back to, I just said I did collard greens in lard. I have a bowl of lard. My 18-year-old daughter, she goes, I don't know too many homes that have a bowl of lard sitting on their counter for cooking. Like that's what we cook with. We don't cook with olive oil as much anymore. We do use it for like finishing for salads and things like that. But most of our cooking is we're using lard or butter. So, right. It's my daughter, Hannah.
Hi, everyone.
She's my mini me. I got raided by Food Forest Permaculture, brought his whole crew over here. So we have a really good conversation.
Girl Scout review?
Yeah, I'm going to read the label on the Girl Scout cookies.
Okay, scary.
I know, right? Yeah.
I made shawarma sandwich.
Is it lamb or beef?
I don't know. I just got the
It's a shawarma sandwich. It's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Look, you too. Okay. She's my mini me. That girl right there, taught her. So the legacy, my mom taught me and I taught her. And let's see, Iron Fire Horse. I went back to how my mom cooked when we were kids, like grandmothers did, except I'd buy it from the stores. Yeah. Ancestral. Sure. Nitrates gave a relative fatal stomach cancer. Yeah. Fatal stomach cancer. Yeah. Nitrates are terrible. So like none of my like the ham that I cooked, if I use bacon, it's all nitrate free. It's just all salt cured. I don't use anything that has, and really, let's be real. Like we don't eat bacon for our health, but still, if I'm going to eat bacon, I want it to be nitrate free. So I want to minimize as much of that as I can. I have not heard Make It by Mandy of mast cell activation disorder. I can certainly look that up, and now you have me curious. There's my friend Steve Leto. You guys need to go raid Steve's page. Okay, so Steve's a like big effing deal over here. So he's a good friend of mine. He's a lemon law attorney here in Michigan. I'm going to out you a little bit, Steve. And he's got some really fun and funny videos. You know, he talks about just different legal issues that people send to him. And he's very entertaining. He's been in the radio industry for a million years. And he's really super fun to watch and to listen to. So you got to jump over there and go give him a subscribe. And he wants to see what his condition is. So Steve has actually admitted to me that he likes, you know, frozen dinners. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't, like, I don't know if I have to like not see that or not hear that. I'm going to help you, Steve. I'm sure you probably want the Girl Scout cookies though. Going on Vancouver Island had a significant mold exposure. And your doctor said at the time it wasn't an issue. Let me tell you really quickly about mold. So I had mold exposure as well. And here's the problem when you have a doctor, if you have health problems, then you have a doctor says it's not an issue. And if they say, well, it wasn't Stachybotrys, which is black mold, which is highly, you know, it's deadly. So in my house, I was pregnant with that one, didn't really know I had mold. I was here for about 15 years. And then I kept thinking, I'm on a crawl space. It's very dry down there. And Peace Journey. Oh, awesome. Go get your walk in. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And everybody says hi, Hannah. She says, hey. So I had the house tested and so the outside particulates for 2 molds, penicillium and I'll remember it in a second. Not, you know, they're not like crazy deadly molds, but the outside particulates for these 2 molds were 200 parts per million, I think is how that goes. And my crawl space was 200,000. Then I tested myself and my body was high in those 2 molds. I have a chronic cough and my house has been cleaned up. I had a leak behind a wall. My crawl space has been encapsulated. You know, I've gutted 2 bathrooms to get rid of the mold. And I still have a chronic cough and it's all been fixed for about maybe 5 or 6 years now. So if it takes root, and I know what to do to get rid of it. It's a lot better. But even, you know, there's this misnomer that if it's not the dangerous kind, but if you're, you know, it's like a little bit of poison each and every day can be bad. So it was enough to make me sick. I don't know how it's affected her. I was pregnant with her, you know, had 2 dogs. So I would definitely say pay attention to that. Let's see. Peace Journey. I can't put that up. I'm a medical professional. It's frowned upon to be so. Oh, yeah. I totally get that. Basically redirection therapy yeah. So Peace Journey is saying like she can't put the story up of helping her daughter's autism. Isn't that sad? I know, because those are the things that we can't talk about without fear of getting shut down. Okay, so here we go with oils and, oh, good, Iron Fire Horse, only butter. Yeah, I always have butter. And read the label on a bag of fries the other day and the list of, yeah, right, the Scottish Wild Man. Yeah, well, it's crazy. Steve's link. Steve, what's your link? Can you go? Let me see if I can grab his link on YouTube. If he's still here, and then I'll go ahead and I did a video the other day, and I had his little sticker in the frame. So I was wondering like how many people would actually see it. Let's see if that works. Okay, there. I just dropped his link into the comments. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to read the label on this, and I'm like, I'm a little afraid right now. So let's see. Okay, I got this light shining in my eyes, and all I see is spots. Okay, peanut butter is the first ingredient. I wasn't sure about that. But the peanut butter is sugar, hydrogenated palm oil. Now, they took out partially hydrogenated oils from the generally recognized as safe list a few years back. But there's hydrogenated, and then they do some other things to the oils as well. So, you know, basically it's window dressing. They're making you think that it's not bad, and they're still adulterating these oils. And then, okay, so that's the peanut butter. And then sugar, enriched flour, wheat flour, niacin. So that's the cookie, I'm sure. Folic acid, vegetable oil. There we go. Palm kernel, palm and soybean. Soybean, I don't even know what's worse. Cottonseed. I'm waiting for cottonseed in here. Cocoa contains 2% or less of invert sugar. I don't even know what invert sugar is. Cornstarch, salt, sorbitan tristearate. Is that food? You think that's food, a food ingredient? What is that? Soy lecithin, leavening, baking soda, monocalcium phosphate, natural and artificial flavors, and whey, partially defatted peanut flour. Yeah. I thought there'd be cottonseed. Now listen, there's enough other shit in there. So yeah, the soybean oil and the vegetable oil. So here's the thing. So these oils came into play. If we just go back to Crisco, I think Crisco was like the very first vegetable oil to come on the market. And it was actually, in fact, all of these oils were originally used as machine lubricants. And then cottonseed oil, they couldn't really figure out, like when they started to use petroleum oil, they had no more use for cottonseed oil as a lubricant. And so they were like, hey, let's turn this into food. And that's how they came up with Crisco. And Crisco actually stands for cottonseed. I don't know. You can go look it up. Something refined cottonseed oil, right? I forget what the initial C is. But so it was originally, Crisco was actually originally a lubricant, and then all these other lubricants started to come about. They're cheap. They're easy to get in large quantities. Most restaurants use them. So the reason I titled tonight sugar versus oils and versus sugars is that I do talk about sugars, trying to eliminate sugars, eliminate your highly processed foods. But then the problem is, if you do that, and then let's say you go and you get salad dressing, and now maybe the salad dressing has soybean oil, and you think the salad dressing should be healthy, but now the salad dressing has soybean oil. So these oils can exist in places that you actually think are pretty healthy. And I got duped. I'm going to be fully transparent. I shopped the other day, and I was hungry. And I bought a bag of those Mediterranean chips. They're They're taro and sweet potato. And I didn't even look at the ingredients. I just made an assumption, and I was hungry and I was in a hurry. So it happens to me too. And then I left, and I came home last night and I looked at the back of the label, and I was like, "Are you effing kidding me?" It had soybean and cottonseed oil in it. So now I don't even know that I want to. I probably won't even eat it. I didn't know that about Crisco. Yeah, I put candles in a tub with a flower pot on it to heat. It wouldn't eat it though. Say that again. Wait, I put candles in a tub with a flower pot on it for heat in my van. It wouldn't eat it though. I don't know what you're saying there. Didn't know that about Crisco. I put candles in a tub with a flower pot on it for heat. You got duped at Eric's the other night eating pistachios. They were bathed in vegetables. Yeah. It's so bad. Like, it's so easy to get duped. Yeah, I got duped. And you know what? When you're hungry and there's a snack there, and you think you're going for something like easy and quick, it is in everything. So here's the other thing too. There's no sugar in pistachios. At least there shouldn't be. So you're like, okay, I'm hungry. That's a healthy snack. And then you look at the label, and you're like, holy shit, it has vegetable oil in it. I posted a short, I think yesterday, and I actually found pistachios at Kroger, and I think they were organic. I can't remember, but the label said pistachios and sea salt, and that's it. They had another one that was flavored. It was like vinegar and salt. And so it was flavored. And so when I turned that over, and it's in the video, you can see that if you go to yesterday, it was in the short. And it actually had, like, I think soybean, it had some bad oils in it. It had these seed oils. And these seed oils, you guys listen. So they press the oils out of the seeds, and it smells super bad, and it's actually rancid. And then what they have to do is they have to process it and clean it with hexane, which is a petroleum product. so they have to clean it to get rid of the smell of it and make it palatable. Like it's highly refined. It's absolutely disgusting when you think about what they're doing to that. And this is why, like, when you just go to, and I have another video that I need to do some pre-video of I went to the store and I did it on butters and earth balance and all that other garbage, and it's literally hardened soybean oil. And so that's my rabbit hole, is like they're doing something to take the soybean oil to make it hardened. And it's I forget the name of the term, but it's a chemical process that hardens it. It's so bad for you. Yeah, you were super hungry, picking on them for a while and thought they kind of taste. Yeah, I know. I ordered a charcuterie board the other night at an event that I did, and it had some nuts in it. And I ate like one or two of the nuts, and I'm like, these nuts, like they were rancid. But I know she cranks through charcuterie boards. So I know they weren't old. They were just like bad, poor quality nuts. So I actually have to tell her now that she needs to get a different nut, because it was bad. You can taste the rancidity in them. They do, it changes the flavor of them. They're like just bitter, rancid, and taste like they've been sitting in a closet for 10 years. Iron Fire Horse. I camp in my van, so for heat in the winter, Crisco burns like fuel. Oh my God, that's so funny. And the candle flames and produces radiant heat. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Well, apparently when they were looking at Crisco and they said that, well, it looks like lard. Let's see if we can feed it to people. Like that's literally how it came up. And then do you notice how, like, on the can of Crisco, it's this beautiful looking cherry pie slice, and so everybody was using it. And then here's so Procter and Gamble. I'm trying to think of all the stories and the bogus garbage that went on with this. Procter and Gamble paid the American Heart Association, is it 1.7, 1.4, a lot of money back. I think this was like in the 30s, 40s, to have the American Heart Association recommend Crisco for heart health. Now, I mean, this is literally, it's such a political landscape when it comes to our food and our food system. So pay attention to that. Look at, and like I said, I didn't want to say no to I'll donate it to somebody. I don't know, but anyway, it's, but paying attention to that, because it's easy to say, let's get rid of the sugar. Anything that tastes sweet, you should probably not have. But then there's things that like nuts or salad dressings or, crackers and things that are salty and savory. They'll still have sugar in them, but then they're loaded with these oils. There's actually these potato chips that I like, and they're actually made with avocado oil. It's potatoes, avocado oil, and sea salt. And so avocado oil would be a good source. Olive oil is good, but like I said, if you I try not to cook with it, because if you cook it with too high heat, then you can turn that rancid. You won't taste it, but you'll turn it into a trans fat if you get it. It doesn't have a high smoke point, so you wanna be careful if you're cooking on a low fire with that. Peanut rancid bathed. Yeah, it's peanuts, and peanuts are horrible. Peanuts are so adulterated with once it's an organic peanut, but peanuts they're like dirty. They have so many pesticides put on those crops, and then you're going to add in the rancidity of these oils. And speaking of crops, so most of these vegetable oils, so cottonseed, sunflower oil, so vegetable oil is a catch-all term for any of these things. And most of these crops are genetically modified. They are grown with glyphosate, which if you're not familiar with glyphosate, glyphosate is Roundup. And so they spray these crops with Roundup. We are getting, higher and higher rates of glyphosate poisoning among people, but people don't know that you can test for glyphosate poisoning. So these crops have glyphosate on them, and then they take the seeds, and then they press the oil, and then they feed it to you and tell you that it's good for your family. And the whole process by which these oils came about was that when was it Eisenhower? Dwight Eisenhower had a heart attack, and everybody was like, and then this guy Ansel Keys came along. Everybody was coming up with these hypotheses about why did he have a heart attack. We really didn't have a lot of heart disease at the time, and so he came up with its hypothesis that, oh, it must be the saturated fat. And then he jumped on with the whole vegetable oil movement, and he like pushed this whole movement of lower saturated fat. And if any of you remember back in the 80s, yeah, Iron Fire Horse, yes, yeah, quit them all. I know, just use the real stuff, butter, and like I say, lard, tallow. So back in the 80s, I grew up in the, when I graduated high school, it was when I graduated college, and I was doing fitness testing. I was doing cholesterol testing. I never questioned it. I mean, the AMA was, this is what we did. Like, I went along with the narrative because I was in the industry, that this was how I trusted them. I trusted these powers that be that said that, oh yeah, cholesterol, oh, you got to test cholesterol. So we were doing cholesterol testing. And then, at that point I was doing nutritional counseling with people as well. And then the whole low fat movement came along. You remember that? And then you'd buy cookies and crackers and like sour cream and dairy products, and everything had to be low fat. And what they did was they replaced the fat, and they still do this today. They replaced the fat with all these chemicals. And the problem with that is the chemicals made us toxic, they made us sick, and it actually made us fat. And so now, if you notice, like, nobody recommends a low fat diet anymore. And this is where too, like, I'm a little suspicious with some of these plant-based proponents, and they say, no oils, which I get that, no seed oils, but then they're, only oils because they're not eating any animal products. So in my opinion, they're actually not getting enough healthy fat. Like, you can't eat enough fish without, our fish are adulterated. Like, you can't get enough fish in you to get all the omegas your body needs to feed your brain. And if you're not going to eat animal fats, then you're kind of left to just avocados and some nuts and seeds. Whole seeds are fine. They haven't been highly processed, but it's really, it's a slippery slope. Like, our brain needs fat. So again, with some of these plant-based programs, I would be really, really careful about, making sure you're getting enough of your fats, and, avoiding the oils, but getting enough of your fats. Treated in hexane, as well as to make them shelf stable, and other chemicals. Yeah, to get rid of the odor, right? So they have to treat them with hexane and other chemicals to make them liquid, so that they're shelf stable, so that you don't smell the rancidity, and that they're actually palatable. Like, it gives them a super neutral, super neutral flavor. Like, you don't even know. You smell it, you don't even smell anything. Really think about like a really good olive oil, and you smell that, and you smell the richness in the olives, and if it's and to compare that to, olive oil comes in a dark bottle, because when it's exposed to light, it can become rancid. If it's exposed to heat, it can become rancid. So when you cook, do not put your olive oil next to the stove, because that heat will cause rancidity of your really good olive oil. So make sure that, like, that's another, just a simple rule of thumb, is we don't want to take our good olive oil and ruin it. And so if you compare it, you've got vegetable oil that, and they have to like add colorants to it. And again, these chemicals to make it shelf stable. And then they put it in a clear bottle, because it's so shelf stable that it's really hard for that to go rancid, because they've adulterated it so much. So yeah, and super high in linoleic acid and omega-6, which are highly, highly inflammatory fats, can damage the brain. And I always talk about too, with, when we talk about like using these, so our cells, they're actually super damaging to our cells. And when you use these types of oils, I just like to use the word like crunchy cell. So the cell, if you think of your cell like a water balloon, and it should be, you know, fluid and have, like, think of a grape, you know, a nicely plump grape. That's how your cells should be. When you have too much of these oils, what happens is they shrivel up and they become like raisins. And then the inner part of the cell, the mitochondria, it's called the powerhouse of the cell. It's what gives us our energy. You know, in fact, like, our bodies are supposed to produce, so ATP is the energy that's produced in that cell, and our bodies produce our body weight in ATP every single day. That's how much we rely on that for energy and for to make sure that our bodies are functioning properly. But when you use these oils, it damages the membrane and it damages the mitochondria. And so you don't get the proper function, and you can't get nutrients into the cell, and you can't get waste products out of the cell. So they become crunchy. So think of like a dried sponge, and, you know, it's been sitting on your counter and it's crispy, and you got to hold it under water for a really long time before you'll get that water to actually go in and start to penetrate it. That's how your cells get. You want your cells to be like a wet sponge that, you know, easily nutrients and waste products can easily move in and out. So these seed oils are they're horrible. And so if you don't have a health issue, you know, I mean, I could say if you want to, like, do them in moderation, but if you don't have an health issue, you're probably avoiding those anyway. But if you do have any kind of health issues, you might want to take a microscope on that and start looking at what's in your refrigerator. Read those labels. Salad dressings are one of the worst, and it's really easy to make your own salad dressing with a high quality olive oil, some lemon juice, fresh pressed garlic, some salt, and you know, some really good, like, high quality apple cider vinegar. You know, I mean, salad dressing's too easy to make. So don't spend the money. These salad dressings in the bottle that you buy in the store they're expensive, and then they have all these added ingredients. They'll put xanthan gum in it. You know, that's not a food. So would not be a big deal if the seed oils weren't used in everything. Yeah. So I'm constantly saying the poison's in the dose. And so going back to when I was talking about my mold exposure, is that, yeah, if your doctor had said, oh, you were exposed, it's no big deal because it wasn't black mold, it wasn't Stachybotrys, it doesn't matter. If you were exposed to any kind of mold over a long enough period of time, when I tested myself, I was high in mold. So I had to do a mold clearing. And that's the poison being in the dose. It was, you know, spending years in my house, not realizing I had mold. Yeah, using avocado for frying. That's where I like lard or tallow and a higher smoke point, so you won't get the oxidation. Yeah, avocado has a really high smoke point, so that would be really good for frying. Coconut oil too. I didn't mention coconut oil. When I make popcorn, I use coconut oil. I love coconut oil. And of course, it tastes amazing when you're making popcorn. It has a really high smoke point, and coconut oil is actually, you know, pretty healthy for you. So the problem is we have all these really wonderful saturated fats that got demonized when when all these vegetable oils came on the scene. And when, you know, these doctors, and back, you know, the NIH way back when, and it's like corruption city, you know, still kind of is, isn't it? So the NIH was basically saying, no, we have to tell everybody that vegetable oils are good, saturated fat is bad. And it was only a hypothesis, and there's been no studies that have actually proven that saturated fat is linked to heart disease. In fact, what they do, though, is they do these correlative studies. So they correlate heart disease and they'll correlate, you know, saturated fat. But you can't have correlation. Like, there's correlation and there's causation. So just because something correlates doesn't mean it's a causative effect. So I was watching this one woman who, she's amazing. She was talking about a study where they correlated divorce rates in Maine with consumption of seed oils. And so it correlated, right? So the more you consume seed oils, the higher the divorce rate. Well, is that causative, or is that just correlative? I mean, it's like you know, you have to look at that, right? So so a lot of these studies, if you don't do a deeper dive, how are they made? How are they done? Yeah, Ansel Keys did the 7 country study, and he decided to leave out. He conveniently left out a lot of the data to support what he wanted. And there was another study that was it was 14 years. It was on saturated fat and heart disease that showed shriveled brain cells from oil. Yep. And so it actually showed that seed oils caused heart disease, but they didn't publish it. And when this one scientist from the NIH was asked, why didn't you publish it? And he said, well, we were disappointed with the results. So you're not even given the right information when they're testing for it, because if they have a hypothesis that saturated fat causes heart disease, and then they do the test and it doesn't test properly, if it doesn't give them the results, then they're like, well, we can't publish that. So, and that's not science. That is not scientific at all. And a true scientist would be like, oh, wow, I can't believe this. Well, we should let people know then that this is actually, that no, you shouldn't avoid saturated fat now. So, saturated fats have been demonized from a purely political perspective. And so I would encourage you, clear everything. If you have I'm going to go throw those chips away because I can't even bring myself to eat them now. But yeah, I mean, if you're duped, you're duped. We're all going to get duped. I mean, that's marketing. And again, if you're hungry, if you're in a hurry, I mean, honestly, like if I hadn't eaten all day and I was starving, I would probably eat the pistachios that had the oils in it because I needed something. And I would hope that my body was healthy enough to, to fight that off. But in the grand scheme of things, my preference would be to not have that at all, because I'm trying to think of my body as, how can I feed and fuel my body for my future? And that's what I want you guys to think about, is what are you doing to feed and fuel your body for your future? And that because the poison is in the dose, if you don't ask yourself, is this going to harm my health or heal my health? If you don't ask yourself that question about everything that you consume, then you could actually be doing some damage. And then, the idea is, I don't want you to just live 80, 90 years, a long life. I want you to be able to live a health span, not just a lifespan. So, and I talk about my mom, who just dropped dead at 86 years old. She was healthy. She lived on her own. She drove. She, was smart as a whip. I mean, she was active. She exercised, 3-4 days a week. She was in theater. She'd been traveling, and then she dropped dead at 86 years old. I mean, it's hard on the family, but isn't that, that's way better than watching your family members wither and having them end up, in a nursing home and wearing diapers. And, nobody wants that kind of existence. So this is my hope for you, is to be able to help educate you on all those things. It might seem like a little thing, but it's so pervasive. And so start to look at those tiny things, because they will build up. And the poison is in the dose, because it's not just the seed oils, it's all the other things too. We've got toxins in our air, in our water, it's all around. So control the environment that you can control, and the environment that you can control is what you put in your body. So, all right. Any other questions on that chat? And yes, that's the way to do it. And yeah, shriveled brain cells. I mean, this is, a lot of times too, Iron Fire Horse, this is where we're talking about brain fog, learning issues, sleep issues. It'll affect sleep, anxiety, depression, anything with brain that you think about. If you want to heal your brain, you've got to get rid of these horrible oils. We can do the sugar, but these are just so pervasive. It's easy to pick out sugar, but I think these are a lot harder for people. So, and there's a lot more marketing behind it, clearly, because if Procter & Gamble's paying off the American Heart Association and making the American Heart Association say things, then there's a lot of money at stake here. So, and they're no longer recommending low-fat diets, if you didn't notice that anymore. So eat the fat, eat the yolk. We're avoiding yolk. I've said for years, I'm like, eat the freaking yolk. There's so much good omega 3s in there, good for your brain, and healthy. Like that's what you want, good high quality protein. Thank you, Iron Fire Horse. I appreciate it. And I'm glad I ran into you at Howie's too. So I'm so glad you guys all did a takeover tonight. I appreciate you being here and all your questions. If I can help you in any way, please let me know. All the links to all my social channels are on the About page on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'll see you guys next Sunday for a live Q&A. I don't know what we're going to talk about then, but if you have any ideas, let me know. Appreciate you all being here. Have an incredible week. And eggs are a staple. Yes. And you know what? I love duck eggs. So try to get them from a local source from Happy Chickens. I mean, that's poor chickens. We need happy chickens that are just running around laying eggs, so I'd love to get, I think I could just violate my ordinance here and just get chickens. I think I want to just get chickens, build a hutch out back. I mean, I'm the president of my homeowners association. Who's gonna tell me I can't? All right, you guys, have an incredible week. Thanks again for being here. Your questions are amazing. Love your comments and the engagement. And we'll see you next week. And tell everybody about my page so we can continue to grow. Thanks so much. And Iron Fire Horse, yes, I hope to see you next Sunday as well. And take care. And thanks again, Howie, if you're still on here. Appreciate you guys doing a takeover. Talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.